Hi there, my name is Rory Hinnon. Today we're going to go through the new phone system, also known as Sasstrix. We'll get into why that is called Sasstrix later. Let's get started. Okay, so here's our agenda. This is what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about the differences between our existing ShoreTel system and our new Sasstrix system. We're talking about how you're going to actually operate the phone, what sort of resources are going to be available to you, for instance, Slack channels or wikis, and we're going to talk about the timeline for this transition. So why are we making this move? Well, we're moving away from ShoreTel. One of the things that Sasstrix gives us is that we have the ability to modify the code. So we've got more control and we can design the application to better support our needs. It's also a lot easier for us to do remote access for the phones because there's no physical phone associated with this. Real quick here, I want to talk about what the old system looked like. So when a phone call came in on the old system, it would go through ShoreTel, and then it would touch Mitel. Mitel was built into Salesforce, was very intimately associated with it, and then Mitel was what the user would talk to. Now, the new system, a call is going to come in, and it's going to go to PBX. PBX talks to Sasstrix. Sasstrix is going to be our interface. And that lives in a web browser. And then we've got a plugin into Salesforce that talks to Sasstrix, and Sasstrix talks directly to the user. The user controls the phones directly without having to go through Salesforce, without having a physical device. So there's not huge differences between the Mitel plugin and the old system. Most of that is going to look very much the way you're used to. I mean, a phone system is a phone system. So what's going to look the same? Well, honestly, a lot of it. Queues are going to look the same. There are no changes in that. Extensions are not going to change. We still have a wrap-up time for those in support at the end of the call. Obviously, we've got mute buttons, we've got hold buttons. Transfers still work pretty much the same way. In fact, I think you'll see that transfers are better in the new system. And here's something we're pretty excited about. Phone notes are actually going to save in tickets reliably. We've had some problems with the Mitel system and saving phone notes. The new system, we feel a lot more confident about it. What is new? Well, we don't have a physical phone unit. Calls are actually handled by the computer. So we don't have to carry around phones if you happen to be doing a work from home situation. So you're going to have to set up the audio, and you're going to have to allow that phone pop-up to work on your browser. So when you first launch it, you will be required to accept that pop-up. You're also going to need to configure your mic for your workstation. Make sure that that's accessible to the application. And we recommend you use Chrome for this. A lot of people like to use Firefox, but we've had some problems getting this to live happily within Firefox. So you'll probably have to use Chrome to manage that phone app properly. What else is new? Well, one of the things we're excited about is that we can push Salesforce pages when we transfer phones. So the receiver is going to be able to see the Salesforce page associated with whatever the call is. The person receiving the call will be able to tie that association and then transfer that right across. The widget that we have in Salesforce itself is actually very minimal. It's just a 2-button affair. You can start the phone, you can link pages, and it's very nice. The phone itself lives in its own browser window or tab. You get to choose how you're going to handle that. And you don't need to dial 8 to get an outside line anymore. In fact, if you're dialing to a number in the Americas, that'd be Canada, Mexico, or the United States, you also don't need a 1. You can just simply dial the 10-digit number and it'll go out as you expect. So to get into the phones, you're going to need your username and your password. You are going to get an email from Office IT that will have your username and some instructions for how to set your password. There are a couple ways to log into the phone. You can, if you're not using Salesforce, you can go directly to pbx.liquidweb.com/UCP or pbxliquidweb.com/phone, and that will let you log into your phone there. You can also log into the phone app directly from Salesforce using the widget. So this is what the widget looks like within Salesforce. You'll see that down there on the lower left-hand side, it says phone. When you click on that, that opens this widget. If you click on the Open Phone, that will let you open the phone controller, and use View in Note associates a phone call with a ticket, whatever ticket you have open. Okay, so this is what the phone app actually is going to look like when you first get in there. You can see right now it's disconnected. You're going to want to put your username in. You're going to want to put your password in. You can see down there where it says Enable Notifications. By default, that's going to be off. You'll want to turn that on. Obviously, you put in your username, put in your password, click Login. That gets you your phone up and running. Okay, once you're logged into the phones, it's going to look like this. System is ready to take a call, but you're not in any kind of queue. To get into the queue, and we'll talk about this more later when we do the examples, you'll see that you have to enter *45, and that actually puts you into the queue. The way you'll do that, you'll click on this icon here, and that'll bring up the number pad. You can then click on the top. If you type *45, that will put you into the queue system, and you'll be able to receive calls off of the queue. If you're currently logged into the queue, by typing *45 a second time, you'll be logged out. So that's *45. If you're not logged into a queue, it logs you in. If you are logged in, it logs you out. It's a toggle. It'll provide audio notification both when you go into the queue and when you come out. All of that's going to come out through the headset, speaker, whatever you've configured your system for. If you need to log into a specific queue in addition to your regular queues, you can type *45 and then the queue number. No spaces, no nothing, just *45 and the 4-digit number that is the new queue. That will put you into that queue as well. Audio is going to play through the computer. You're going to pick an audio device that's going to be associated. So you're going to pick headphones, you're going to pick the computer speakers. It'll take USB headphones, it'll take plug-in mic jack headphones. It'll even use the computer speakers and mic. All three of those will function. However, rings and queue status are only going to play through the headset. They're going to play through whatever the primary has been set to for that session. We're talking about ways to make that so that rings can come out through the primary speaker, but the phone can be routed to the headsets so people don't have to wear their headsets all day. But currently, whatever you have set for your audio out, that's where all audio for that program is going to be driven. Here's what a call looks like when it's coming in. You'll see that the widget for the call turns red, and you see that there's a brand new icon that says you've got a call. Now, when you click on that phone icon, to accept the call, go ahead and click on that little phone icon, and you'll see the call details have loaded up. You still haven't answered the call. It's still ringing as far as the user's, the caller is concerned. But you now have a chance to view how the call is coming in, the phone number, things like that. To actually answer the call, you need to move down to the bottom and press the Answer Call button. After you've taken the call, the ringing icon becomes a number, basically the line showing which call is associated, and the ringing will stop. You'll now be talking to the person on the other end. If you have multiple calls, those numbers are going to stack up. You'll see 1, you'll see 2, you'll see 3. They'll all line up. Those will be your incoming lines. When you're ready to end a call, you're going to click on the End Call button down there on the bottom. That's going to end whatever call is active. So whichever one has the red highlight on it, that'll be the call that is going to be hung up on at that moment. A couple other things I want to note really quick. You have a mute button right here. You have a hold button. So you can put a call on mute. You can put a call on hold. You can do both at the same time. So a call can be muted and on hold. They will hear music but until you turn both of those off, they will not hear you. So do keep that in mind. Down here underneath, we've got a couple of tabs. We've got the Salesforce tab, and we've got the Phone tab. These are really tabs, and they will let you switch between different functions. Salesforce shows you everything that is related to Salesforce that this call has. Phone is going to show you everything that's associated with this phone at the moment. That's going to be a little more important when we get to transfers. So when you end the call, that page does not go away. You need to dismiss this page. This gives us an opportunity to work with this information for a little bit before we get rid of it. So if we need to make some notes, if we need to assign it to a ticket, those sort of things can be done now. You see in this particular instance, we've got multiple calls. We've got multiple lines up there. We've saved all those. This won't go away until you actually click that dismiss button down there on the bottom. So to make an outbound call, you go back into the keypad, you hit the keypad up on top, and it's going to take us to the keypad screen. The keypad screen will let us enter a number and make a call. So you can see in this example, we've got a 10-digit United States North American phone call. If you need to make an international call, you will need to put in the international prefix before that, usually 011. But for North American calls, as I said earlier, you don't need the 1, you don't need an 8 to dial out. When your outgoing call is connected, it's going to look just like a received call. You've got all the same controls, you've got all the same options. One thing I want to note at this point, that button up on top, this is a different phone dialer. This is going to open a brand new line. This is a new phone, new line sort of button. Below this phone down here, this is the phone that's going to interact with your current call. Again, this is going to become relevant to us when we start discussing doing transfers. If the system can find an association between the phone number and something in Salesforce, you will be able to make those associations here. Now it goes and it searches, it finds those. We don't presume that that connection is always going to be correct. So we are dependent upon the operator to go ahead and make that determination absolutely. So you'll be able to pull down on that field right there, and if there are connections, you will see them lined up below. And you can associate that with a call and with an account. Now it's quite likely that while you're taking calls, the phone app is not going to be the primary web interface. You'll be in Salesforce and doing whatever. Whatever active call you have and whatever active ticket you have, those are going to be where we're going to start making our links. So right now you can see that I've got an active ticket here. This call, it's the number 5 call that's actually active. And that's where we're going to make our associations. If you look down in the bottom, the phone widget that's in Salesforce has a use view in note. That's what's going to tie us together. So if you click on use view in note, that will associate this ticket to a call that we have in Sasstrix. In this example, you can see right in our Salesforce section of the phone app that our ticket number is in the related to field. So they're associated with one another. They're not going to be apart. And if you make a note and update that note, that's going to go into the ticket. If you're making a new ticket, this is how you're going to be able to attach an existing phone call to that ticket. You'll go into that ticket, go into that account, make the ticket, and then associate them using the widget. And that connection then will be able to be stored between the phone app and the new ticket. If you click that little pop-out button that's right next to update note, that's going to load the associated record from Salesforce. So you'll be able to find those quickly if you need them. If you have the contact selected in Salesforce, the associated account is going to be available in related to. So let's talk about transferring calls. I touched on this earlier. The phone at the lower half of the screen, that lets us deal with the current call. So if I click on phone, you'll see that I have a transfer button that's now available. So I can transfer that call, whichever one is active. So bring up phone, click on transfer, and I'm going to be presented with a search field here. I can either search for a queue, I can search for a name, or I can enter the extension directly. All three of those are going to work. Usually we want to do a warm transfer, although obviously we can do a cold transfer as well. Once our extension is selected, you can go ahead, you can do your transfer. In this case, we're going to do a warm transfer. And we now have the customer's line on hold and a new line, which is whoever we're transferring to. And when they pick up, we'll be able to talk to them, explain to them about the call, what's going on. If there's any Salesforce information that we've entered into this call, when we do that transfer, that's going to go to them as well. They'll be able to see that information. So we're really happy about that. So there's our, when you're ready to send the call over, you press phone, and you'll see that the transfer button now says complete transfer. Hitting the complete transfer button is going to transfer the call and close both existing calls for you. The call information is still going to be visible in the phone app. Remember, that stays there until you actually dismiss it. So we can continue to work with those if we need to. So I'm going to go and do a demo here. Okay, so now we're going to log into the phone. You notice that I've got this set to enable notifications. When you first open this app, that is going to be disabled, so you will want to turn that on. Okay, I am logged into the phone now. Now, I'm logged into the phone. My phone is active, but I'm not in any phone queues. I'm not going to be automatically assigned any phone calls. If I want to get into a queue at this point, I want to type *45. Okay, I'm now in that system. And you notice that line, that call, actually stays there until I dismiss it. Again, it treats that like a real phone call, even though I'm just logging into the system. I've called the system, that's what the *45 did, and now I've got a call. So I'm going to dismiss this to log out of the queue so I don't get any calls, *45. And now I'm not going to get any calls. Again, the call will remain until it's dismissed. So let's show you what it looks like when we make a phone call. I'm just calling my personal cell phone right there. Don't call me in the middle of the night. Okay, so there's my call. It is live. I'm current. I can mute him. Doesn't hear any audio. I can still hear him. I can put him on hold. Now he's going to hear music, and I can't hear him. If I need to transfer this call at this point, I can go ahead and I can go to phone, and I can start the transfer process. Within Salesforce, I can assign a ticket to him. So let's go find this Rory Hinnon guy. And let's go find a ticket. So this is my ticket. This is where I want to assign him. So now if I go back over to my phone, you see that I've got related here. I can write a note into my ticket. I can save this, and that will actually go up into my ticket. So if I go to my ticket and I look in the call logs, okay, let's show you what it looks like when I get a call. I've ended the call. I need to now dismiss it. Once I'm finished with it, I can dismiss this call. If I leave this here, and I can see a really good use case for this, where I tell the customer, I need to do some work on this, let me call you back. I may leave this open because I can redial right there. Saves the number, it's all available. I can dismiss this call, it's gone. So let's see what it looks like when we get a call. Oh. Okay, I have an inbound phone call. You can see that it's notifying me, and I've got the line button there. And click on that. Shows me information about it. If it finds my name and number in there, in this case it won't, I can answer the call. And now I have a call that is answered. This came in from an external phone call. So let's finally talk about how actually to forward this call. I can click on this. This is manipulating the current phone call. And we'll enter our number in here. I can enter an extension. Transfer. Cloud sites. Windows. Rory Hinnon. And we can do a warm transfer. I have a new line that shows that is active. My old line has gone on hold. I can tell him what I need to do. When I'm ready to finally hand the call over, transfer the call across. Both calls now are inactive. And I can continue to work with them if I need to, and I will need to dismiss them to get them off my phone app. We have wikis that have more information. For instance, if you need to set up conference calls, how to troubleshoot headsets, how to operate physical phones, procedures, queues, all that sort of information is going to be available in the wikis. So absolutely use those as a resource. We also have a Slack channel. Get general help for how to do the phone, how to use the phones, get help for your specific extension. All that stuff will be available in Slack.